This video is sponsored by Amazon Prime Video.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Jessica Hyde. Jessica Hyde had a daddy who was a genius scientist. Now, Jessica and her daddy were held by an evil villain named Mr. Rabbit. He made Daddy Hyde create horrible viruses. Until one day, a hero named Artemis broke out Jessica and her daddy. Mr. Rabbit sends his henchmen, the Harvest, after them. The Harvest kidnapped Daddy, so now Jessica Hyde has to save him. But that's just the mythology. If you're smart, if you're really, really smart, you can study it and decipher all the real-life epidemics it predicted.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Utopia Episode 1 video. I've been doing videos for Amazon's The Boys Season 2 episodes recently, and they just released another very twisted comic book series based on Utopia. There's a bunch of Easter eggs, so I'll break it all down. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll be hosting a giveaway for Amazon Prime memberships, so you can watch all these shows for free. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post your favorite moment from the show on the video in the comments below. Big warning though, this video does contain spoilers from Utopia Episode 1. I'll do top 10 WTF moments and Easter eggs from the show as we go along, just like in my videos from The Boys. Starting with number 10, the origin of the show. If you have no idea where this came from, Utopia actually started out as a British show. This new one is totally different and doesn't have anything to do with that older show. It adds this dimension of the metaphorical and literal comic book Easter eggs. And a big part of the first episode are conspiracy theorist fans decoding Easter eggs in a comic book that's created within the world of the show that seemingly helps them predict the future. It's an ensemble cast with a couple big names like John Cusack and Rainn Wilson from The Office. You'll probably recognize at least some of the other main cast members from some other recent shows and movies. The story picks up when two newlyweds inherit a house from the wife's grandfather after he's believed to have died. And when they go to move in, they find out that he was a bit of a hoarder and seemingly a conspiracy theorist. So they spend a huge montage cleaning the house, and during that find a bunch of pages of artwork from a mysterious comic book project. The comic book is called Utopia, and even though they have no idea what it is at first, they figure they can sell it, make a little money from the collector's market, so they create an auction to take place at their in-universe version of a Comic-Con, and news about the unpublished comic book spreads like wildfire through their fandom. Then they go through the big montage to introduce you to most of the main cast members who are all part of this tighter-knit group of ultra-hardcore fans of that comic book series, all trying to find a way to get it in their hands. Number 8, there's this ongoing mystery about the creation of the comic book and the quote-unquote unknown artist behind the pages that all the main characters are after. The unpublished work that they found in the remains of their new house is actually the sequel series to a long-running title called Dystopia. The sequel series is titled Utopia, which the show takes its name from. When the series picks up, it's been a long time since they've heard any news about what's going to happen to the comic book series that they all love so much. They have all these conspiracy theories about what happens to the characters within the universe of the comic book. Like your favorite manga ends and the creator never tells you what happens to the characters next. So when it's revealed that there is a sequel to the story, everyone goes crazy. The actual Dystopia and Utopia comic books in the world of the show follow the adventures of a girl named Jessica Hyde, who's the daughter of a scientist, who are both held captive by the villain of the series called Mr. Rabbit, who makes her father create all these different viruses and biological weapons until one day they're rescued by another hero within the series called Artemis. Then within the comic series, Mr. Rabbit's henchmen chase them down, capture her father, and then Jessica Hyde's mission becomes saving him again from Mr. Rabbit. But because the sequel hadn't appeared yet before, they all wonder what ends up happening to her and her father. Within the world of the TV show, the comic book series that everyone's this huge fan of is relatively new. It debuted in 2014, so it's not like the title had been running for a long time. When the show picks up in present day, it's supposed to be 2020 when they find that Utopia sequel comic book. Number 7, the X-Files level conspiracy twist to the show, though, is that the main group of protagonists believe that the comic book itself predicted all of the major epidemics that happened in the real world of the show, that is, long before they happened. Like Ebola, MERS, the Heartland virus. Those are all very real, very terrible things, but within the world of the show, the characters believe that there were clues in the comic books before those actually happened in the real world, so they think that the comic book is predicting the future. But within the final issue of the Dystopia comic book, before the sequel, the creator teased that he would be doing the Utopia sequel, but suddenly all news about it went silent until it was found by the granddaughter and her husband. So they have no idea what's going on. They never read the comic book, they're not part of the fandom, so they just found some pages that they think are worth some money to some fans. So number 6, while they're all getting hyped up for the Utopia auction at this Comic-Con event, the show goes into another montage revealing more of the main cast and the villains of the episode, like these two weirdos who are seemingly coming to the Comic-Con to bid on the book along with the other group of mains and a ton of other hardcore fans of the series. 2020 in real life has been a pretty interesting year, to say the least, so the series itself is a little prescient. The mains talk about feeling like it's the end of the world, and the reason they desperately need to win the auction on this Utopia comic book is so that they can decode the hidden Easter eggs that will tell them the future and all the bad things that are going to happen. Because even though the comic book supposedly predicts the future, as I said, everything that it foretells are global pandemics, like biblical-level plagues. Number 5, the mains themselves all have varying degrees of messed up backstories. They don't completely reveal everyone's secrets in the first episode, but they're meant to come off varying levels of closeted and not so closeted conspiracy theorists who just happen to be fans of the comic book series as well. So they spend a lot of time at the actual Comic-Con event distinguishing their hardcore level of fandom from the more traditional casual comic book fans of the series who don't know anything about the truth behind the Utopia comic series or that it might have some connection to real-world events. The big twist of the comic book is that they're actually kind of right about the book predicting the future, it's just not quite what they think it is though. Number 4, the introduction of the two Hitmen. The show isn't subtle at all about the two creepiest mains who wind up being full-blown serial killers. They do get a bit of a funny intro during the episode, but it turns into Creepy Town on a dime, so it's not a huge surprise that they wind up being the main antagonists of the episode, not necessarily the main villains, as they would have to have been hired by someone if they are Hitmen. They do have something of a funny montage of different comic book fans trying to snag the book during the auction, but it's pretty clear the husband and wife have no idea what they found, or how her grandfather was connected to the real-world conspiracies that are seemingly revealed through the Easter eggs in the book. So the number 3, the Hitmen take the list from the auction and go around killing all the participants who saw the different pages. They never fully answer all the questions about who they're working for or why it's so important or necessary for them to kill everyone who saw the new Utopia comic book, but it's implied that they're also responsible for the disappearance of the grandfather who's the supposed artist of the comic series and one of the creators. They try to get a little comedic with some of their kills, but once they do track down the buyer of the actual Utopia book, they barely miss the little kid who's already snatched it and he escapes having witnessed the whole thing. Other than the reveal that he's not the Porsche-owning ladies' man that he's been pretending to be to the group in the episode, we don't know a lot about his backstory preceding the episode, only that he's just another one of the active members of this group decoding Easter eggs in the stories. But number 2, the young kid, Grant, steals the Utopia comic book. They reveal the truth about his mysterious character that they've been texting through their group the whole time. They'd never really seen him or heard his voice before, so they just assumed that he was the wealthy, middle-aged ladies' man, James Bond type that he'd been portraying himself as this whole time. To his credit, he does go full James Bond during the episode in order to steal the comic book from the buyer, but it completely goes off the rails spectacularly when he comes back to his hotel room with the booth babe at the Comic-Con, and then things go completely out of the frying pan into the fire when the two hitmen show up and gun down both the buyer and the girl. He's barely able to escape, but they do see him, so they know that he has the book, and they know that he's a little kid. His name isn't on their hit list, but the other main characters' names are. Those members of the Utopia fan group also don't know who he really is, or that he actually got the comic book that they all think is gone to them forever. But then number 1 WTF, Jessica Hyde actually shows up in the final scene of the episode, so this raises a whole bunch of questions about how she's connected to the Dystopia and Utopia comic books that everyone has been after for the episode. She's super hardcore too. She doesn't look like she's had a shower or a change of clothes in a hot minute, doesn't bother to help any of the victims. But the hitmen did say that that paralytic would wear off eventually, so at least a few of them might be able to walk out of that hotel room. Once you've had a chance to check out the series, let me know in the comments what you think of it. Is just another twist on the comic book genre. Now we have things like The Boys and this series, Utopia, which are direct parodies of that stuff, so it's cool to see how this type of culture will evolve in the next several years as comic book movies and TV shows just continue to mature. The Utopia show is out on Amazon Prime Video right now. Check it out and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. And thanks to them, Amazon Prime Video, for sponsoring this. Everyone click here for The Boys Season 2 Episode 6 video, and click here for that brand new Marvel Avengers WandaVision trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.